All right, guys, so let's read some of these articles. First, we'll start with Fox, then we'll go to CNN. I read one earlier from NPR. There's a couple funny ones. So first, we'll start with the Fox. So fact-checking firms staffed by CNN alums take Meta axing hard. Surprised and disappointed. A prominent fact-checking organization used by Facebook to moderate political content reacted to news that it will revamp its fact-checking to better avoid bias, with an article outlining its disappointment and disagreement with the move. So a fact-checking organization. Lead Stories was surprised and disappointed to first learn through media reports and a press release about the end of the Meta third-party fact-checking partnership, of which Lead Stories has been a part since 2019. Lead Stories editor Martin Shank wrote, in response to an announcement from Meta that it would be significantly altering its fact-checking process to restore free expression. I don't know, it was kind of cringy. He put out a letter, I want to say almost like 6 months ago, or maybe 4 months ago. It could have been even less than that, 2-3 months ago. Writing a letter, literally saying that this whole time, I think the FBI and the government were like pressuring him to silence COVID, what they called disinformation. And he put that out when like Trump was pretty much about to win, and then he gives Trump $1 million, which is chump change for him for his inauguration. It's funny. The power of Trump. That's pretty much what it is. So Fox News Digital first reported on Tuesday that Meta is ending its fact-checking program and lifting restrictions on speech to restore free expression. After Trump first got elected in 2016, the legacy media wrote nonstop about how misinformation was a threat to democracy. So as soon as he became president, this is what the NPR article also said, that after Trump got elected, the mainstream media wrote nonstop about how misinformation was a threat to democracy. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg actually said in a video message recently, "We tried in good faith to address these concerns without becoming the arbiters of truth, but fact checkers have just been too politically biased and have destroyed more trust than they created, especially in the US. Fact checkers have just been too politically biased and have destroyed more trust than they created." This was the same quote. So this is his quote. So they can't misquote the guy. They can, but it's going to get corrected because that's actually something he said, especially on video. So the NPR is more of a liberal socialist, probably more left-leaning, media company, outlet. And so they actually had this same, because this is Fox News, obviously they're more conservative, obviously, and which I think we should have some middle ground, speaks the truth on all sides, can see all sides. Why the fuck you be that? And I see truth there, and I see why you would, we need like a middle ground. But he's saying fact checkers have been too politically biased. It's funny how he's just changing his tune. So that same Lead Stories asks, what political bias? So the Lead Stories, I guess, was considered to be the third-party fact-checking organization that Mark Zuckerberg used, like a third party to be in charge of fact-checking, i.e. silencing people they feel that are spreading misinformation, which is important in some sense. Very important in some sense. It's actually very important to make sure that there's not these other nations trying to spread disinformation. Of course not. We got to make sure people's intent. But if it's some crazy guy on the internet, or people are arguing based off their differences in political ideologies or even religious ideologies, philosophical ideologies, and let them have a debate. So what political bias? The lead article from Lead Stories asks, before explaining that it is disappointing to hear Mark Zuckerberg accuse the organizations in Meta's U.S. third-party fact-checking program of being too politically biased, especially since one of the requirements Meta imposed for being part of a partnership included being a verified signatory of the IFCN's Code of Principles, which explicitly requires a commitment to nonpartisan and fairness, the article states. In all the years we have been part of the partnership, we or the IFCN never received any complaints from Meta about any political bias, so we were quite surprised by this statement. Meta said in its announcement that it will move toward a system of moderation that is more in line with community notes at X, which Lead Stories seem to take issue with. However, in our experience and that of others, community notes on X are often slow to appear, sometimes downright inaccurate and unlikely to appear on controversial posts because of an inability to reach agreement or consensus among users. Lead stories also wrote, ultimately, the truth doesn't care about consensus or agreement. The shape of the earth stays the same even if social media users can't agree on it. These stories added that Community Notes is entirely non-transparent about its contributors. Readers are left guessing about their bias, funding, allegiance, sources, or expertise, and there was no way for appeals or corrections. Well, fact checkers, on the other hand, are required by IFCN to be fully transparent about who they are, who funds them, and what methodology and sources they use to come to their conclusions. Fact checking is about adding verified and sourced information so people can make up their mind about what to believe. Essential part of free speech. So there still needs to be some guidelines. There still needs to, again, we got to make sure these people, social media is, people got to do their own fucking research and at least give it a try. I know there's so much information out there. I know there's if somebody wants to call somebody fat on there, see, we need more education as parents, as friends, as family members, as neighbors. We say, hey, dude, if you're unhappy with yourself, get yourself together, you know, or like, let's read some other articles. There's another one right here. It says CNN, calling women household objects now permitted on Facebook after Meta updated its guidelines. That's funny. Let's read that one. It's just kind of funny. I'm just saying, like, you guys, like, tell your kids to be careful. Do their own research, man. Do their own fucking research. All you people do your own research as much as possible and come up with the best conclusion possible. Wake up to see if you're being guided to believe into something that you don't even, you're just following along and saying, oh, but you're blindly believing in it, right? That's just calling people to be more proactive, less lazy, more diligent on what they're putting in their brains and looking at the other side of the argument. Calling women household objects. Meta on Tuesday announced sweeping changes to how it moderates content that will roll out in the coming months. It's a CNN business article, including doing away with professional fact-checking, but the company also quietly updated its hateful conduct policy, adding new types of content users can post on the platform. Effective immediately. Users are now allowed, for example, to refer to women as household objects or property, or transgender or non-binary people as it, according to a section of the policy prohibiting such speech that was crossed out. A new section of the policy notes Meta will allow allegations of mental illness or abnormality when based on gender or sexual orientation, given political and religious discourse about transgenderism and homosexuality. The thing is free speech, guys. Free speech, man. So expect these groups, these LGBTQ groups, to double down. Expect groups that are religious to double down and feel more comfortable expressing what they believe, and it is what it is, man. Debate. It is what it is, man. Previously, such comments would have been subject to removal under the policy. The changes to Meta's hateful conduct policy were first reported by Wired. Meta had hinted in its announcement about its content moderation policy changes Tuesday morning that would get rid of the restrictions on certain topics. Meta on Tuesday announced it would do away with this network of independent fact checkers, rely user-generated community notes to add context to posts. It also said it would adjust its automated systems that can scan for policy violations, which it says has resulted in too much content being censored that shouldn't have been. Will now be focused on extreme violations such as child sexual exploitation and terrorism. Duh. Maybe if you stop focusing on, I'm an adult and they disagree with the way my lifestyle is. How about the fucking kids? We should be more focusing on child exploitation and terrorism. Zuckerberg acknowledged that the new approach will mean that we're going to catch less bad stuff, but we also reduce the number of innocent people's posts and accounts that we accidentally take down. A Meta spokesperson noted that the company will continue to prohibit attacks against certain groups, such as those based on ethnicity, race, and religion, as well as prohibiting slurs under the policy. I say, ethnicity, race, and religion. What about nationalism, right? What about fucking pride in your country, bro? It's fucking stupid. The company's Tuesday changes come as the company leader have sought to curry favor with Donald Trump and other Republicans ahead of the president-elect's second term, echoing its announcement longstanding criticism that Meta was censoring conservative voices. Trump welcomed the changes in a press conference. Said that he thinks the changes are probably due to the threats he made to Zuckerberg in the past, but some experts who study the online information ecosystem raised alarms that the changes could lead to more viral false claims and hate speech. Among other changes to Meta's hateful conduct policy, the company removed... I mean, what's hate speech, guys? What is that shit? What is hate speech? Is it really harming you? Like, some people are sensitive out there, though. They're fucking sensitive, dude. But should we, like stop people from speaking their minds and saying what they feel? I mean, and if somebody puts this video together or writes an article that's like, it shows that they put time and effort into it, and they have these premises that lead to a conclusion, right? They're using scientific methodology to express some sort of hypothesis, or trying to explain an hypothesis. And it might be a religious guy bringing up the effects of teaching our kids homosexuality. And it's like, let's start with, does exposure to one thing tend to influence? All right, I don't agree with it. It's not my lifestyle. You're affecting my children. I'm only saying I'm using LGBT. I obviously don't. I obviously could see how it would become. I obviously see it. I see it. I see how one. I see it. You know, I see it. But this is funny. I think Mark Zuckerberg's a cornball. I think he gets punked around. He's like, trust me, the government has some serious players. I'm sure he's been coerced into doing things, and I feel now Trump has some serious guys on his side too, dude. Trump has some serious fucking people on his side, and they're probably just saying, hey, we got your back now, like, and he's probably just bowed down. He's bowing down to the fucking fucked up side. Now he's bowing down to this side. I don't know. I can't imagine some guy like Zuckerberg. He's a soft dude. Maybe in a couple years he won't be so soft, but I feel like he's getting punked. He's been that way. Now I think Trump is just giving him a little more courage to it's funny. Women, like CNN went off like women objects. Like, dude, you guys play off emotions so fucking much, dude. So funny. And why does it have to be a right thing? Isn't it an American thing? Like, free speech, man, free speech. But let's still, like, you have all the information. Let's still be more nosy, but just don't step until you need to. Like, wait. Like, that's just what? Like, that person called that person ugly? Like, okay, like, okay. That person, like, is that person's like? Did that person leave like a some hints to an attack? Or is that person disinformation, right? It's, I don't know. I can't. So it goes back to politics, right? It goes back to what you believe. It goes back to what you believe in. We just saw 2 people running for president, right? You see one person work every day. That person did it. You're talking about grassroots. He went on all these podcasts. He was making speeches every day. This old man. And then you have this old president, like, this fucking guy is just a joke. His son, like, he's just a joke, man. And the self-made guy showed at his old age, you just saw the work ethic that just symbolic to how he obtained his success in life. And you have this one guy, and then they get rid of him. That was so weird. They bring in this lady who really wasn't even formidable in the presidential run. It just, they placed her there because she was the vice president. That was like their only excuse, because she was the vice president. Let's just put her in. Like that's like the rule if the president dies, right? And so she gets in. No work ethic at all. Afraid to even sit there and answer questions because she was just oblivious, dubious. Like, Like, it's so fucking insane. And then that's what won. It was the hard work, you know, despite they were trying to censor the now president, trying to censor him, but just his hard work overcame that. That should be a message to everybody, is that, I mean, just necessarily staying focused and moving forward helps everybody in the long run. There's some people walking by right now, so I'm a little insecure, but especially I don't know what to talk about, because who gives a fuck? They probably don't even do their own research anyway. But anyway, so yeah, so Mark Zuckerberg, it's so funny how, like, the idea that he wants to allow free speech is like a right thing, right? It's not a right thing. It's a fucking, it's a freedom of speech thing, dude. That's part of our Constitution. So it's like, it's just so silly to me. It's like, to each their own. They can live the life they want to live. Hey, but then other people are gonna have their opinion. You can't just, like, it's almost like they're spoiled, you know? Like, I want to make another video. It's funny though, like, because in my head it goes back to one thing. It goes back to a community has major support. They have, so the three top government spending is education, healthcare, and I guess you say Social Security, right? And if you got representation in all universities across the nation, that means you have you have the whole government behind you. That's what that means. And nobody's fighting that. Like, it goes back to the LGBTQ kind of thing, right? But if people have studied science and sociology and physiology and anthropology, and science has been studying, and we're educated, let's not pretend like no one's trying to take nothing from nobody. You know, not even women. Look at CNN trying to play like, oh, you could call women objects. There's one thing calling women objects, to be a dickhead, or if somebody is a misogynist, or somebody's trying to be funny, or the context you can't really get. So, like, we don't get the context, but it's safer, let's just eliminate it anyway. Like, but if the guy's beating his woman, or he's actually, like, I don't know, some women like to be mistreated, or that because they were young, and that goes back to science again. Everything goes back to a pattern of psychology and actual life experience, and why women would subjectify themselves to sell their body for sex, or give all their money to a pimp and take abuse and still go back and stay there and feel like they could change a man. Again, the most important thing is, we know Mark Zuckerberg, he was actually under some sort of, he's actually getting sued. Meta's getting sued by all these other countries. I was reading that NPR. He's getting sued by these other territories. Trump was going to attack him, sue him for certain things that were done. And so this is probably just him, again, trying to cover his ass because he knows there's a new sheriff in town. And yeah, he's playing the game. Fuck it. He is kind of a cornball. And yeah, to each their own. Wealthy man. I can see him being influenced easily because he seems like a soft dude. I mean, he's a smart guy who made this platform that made so much money. He was able to buy other platforms and create this Meta. And again, there's people knocking at his door and saying, hey, whose side are you on, bud? You know, this guy owns a platform that people express themselves, and people have platforms that have. He owns a platform where there's people with mass amounts of influence from all different types of beliefs and ideas and cultures. And again, people are like, well, hey, silence this people over here, silence that over there. It's like he owns the ocean of information. It's like, okay, over here is kind of like, let's keep that down. Let's allow let's allow this to surface a little more, so we can sway ideas. And so you can't forget that. But it's a big deal, man. But again, he's going back to community notes. I guess he's gonna let the community regulate itself. And a lot of people, I guess, just to comment and be like, oh, that's wrong. Well, maybe post like, well, like to have a rebuttal, maybe it's kind of like a textual debate, you know, sort of people like, wait, that was false. Let me correct that, and then someone else can, well, you know, he's allowing dialogue, and which is good. It's good, but again, we still need some We can't let these other fucking countries who hate us. And what about why not say that some of this is there not misinformation maybe on the more liberal side? Like do they not spread information that try to influence our kids to maybe be more feminized, or maybe distrust each other, or like, you know, not like you know, maybe like there's too much exposure to something like the LGBT influence. Do they not have an influence to influence our kids? Like let that just be open to free. Let that all be out there to be investigated and see where it lies. You know, again, this is just requires parents to be more diligent, to keep an eye on their children. Now, even as them as adults, they're easily influenced. So, just what's really gonna change? People are fucking lazy. What's gonna change is that there's gonna try to be these fucking terrorist groups or enemies to America. They're gonna try to influence, and they're gonna try to influence, you know, people that hate America even more, that live in America. So, it's all this ideas about there's no talk about having pride in America. No matter what the fuck, no matter if you're fucking black, white, brown, yellow, pink, rainbow, whatever the fuck you are, you have respect for America, man. You appreciate this fucking place. I'm serious.